48-47 and 49-46 for the winner by unanimous decision. No!
Let's go, baby! Woo! That was a good fight. My boy JDM has done it. Man, that was an awesome fight to watch. I wonder who JDM is gonna fight next. Actually, who is he gonna fight next? Ah, yes, the matchmaking book. This is what I need. Okay. Let's see. Let me see here. Wait, hold on. No. Hold on. Wait, this can't be. Wait. Hold on. Restart the fight. Hold on. Restart the fight. Add an extra round. Anything, please, bro. He's still breathing. Do something. I can't do this. No. So, JDM won. Wow, I am so happy. I really am. Like, man, who would have thought that the fight of the night would have been a fight with Belal? Like, wow, bro. Even though he lost, he still did very good in that fight, man. And rest assured, he's no longer a boring fighter. And he's no longer disrespected by everybody. And most importantly, he's no longer the champion. Which means we're not getting Ilya versus Islam anymore. UFC 315 just happened this past weekend. I thought the card was decent. Some good fights here and there. Some robbery decisions here and there too. By the way, Jose Aldo, the UFC did you so dirty, bro. No retirement video or nothing, but they gave one to Anthony Smith. But that's not the main topic of this video. I'm here to talk about what happens next after UFC 315. Since JDM has beaten Belal Muhammad and dethroned him from the welterweight division, that solidifies the main event of UFC 317, aka International Fight Week. Let me tell you what International Fight Week is for those who don't know. This is a big annual event that the UFC makes every year and tries to make a big main event. And I say the word tries in big quotations because the last time that the UFC tried to make a big fight in International Fight Week was when they made Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler as the main event, just for it to fall apart just a few weeks before the event even happened because Conor broke his toe, thus having him to pull out from the fight. And then you had Alex and Yuri saving the card and being the main event instead. So with that being said, what is going to be the main event for this year? Well, allow me to educate you on how we got here, as brief and straightforward as I can be, and what happens next for the future of the UFC in general. Okay, let's do this. Back in 2022, Islam Makhachev became the lightweight champion by defeating Charles Oliveira, which was a huge statement and a big upset for those who were a fan of Charles. After that, he defends his title against Alexander Volkanovski, the featherweight champion, who was dominant in his own division, giving us the title of the year of 2023, and is still one of the best fights to this day, and wins the fight by decision. And it was a pretty close fight to a lot of people when it just happened back then. Fast forward, the UFC announced that Islam will have a rematch against Charles Oliveira in UFC 294. However, Charles gets injured by having a cut on his eyebrow by doing hard sparring a week before the fight was even gonna happen. But Islam was down to fight a backup fighter instead. And who was that backup fighter? The man from down under, Alexander Volkanovski. He steps in on short notice and it didn't go so well for him.
Tough proposition.
After beating Volk in the first round, Islam then defends his belt against Dustin Poirier, who was pretty vocal about possibly having this as his last fight if he wins the belt, since this was his third attempt of getting gold. But in the end, Islam has a crazy fight with him and submits Dustin by a Darce choke in the last round. Very sad moment for Dustin indeed, and for a lot of fans, including me. Then, after that, we were supposed to get one of the most legendary fights in the UFC ever, which was Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan, a guy who has very strong grappling and striking skills just like Islam. You can argue that they're almost fighting the same person. It was a fight that we all wanted to see so bad that we thought that this fight was just too good to be true. Well, it was, because Arman gets injured by injuring his back. What? Arman injured his back? How? I don't understand how could he have possibly done that. So he pulls out from the fight and we had a replacement instead. Who was the replacement this time? Renato Moicano. He was already set to fight Beneil Dariush in the same card, but is now fighting Islam as the replacement instead. And just like the rematch against Volk, bro beats him in the first round by Darce choke. Okay, we got all that. Now, let's move on to the next person. Ilia Topuria. After having 6 wins and being undefeated in the featherweight division, a then title contender named Ilia Topuria steps in the picture of fighting against Alexander Volkanovski. This fight happened just a few months after Volk got KO'd by Islam. And going into this fight, Ilia was public enemy number 1. The man came in doing the most nefarious things ever. He changed his Insta bio saying that he was already the champion, says that he will beat Alex easily and will knock him out in just the first 2 rounds, and even tried to pull a Conor by grabbing his belt in the press conference like how Conor did with Jose Aldo. Literally, as soon as he had his mangy fingers on the belt, in that moment, everybody hated this man. Ooh, my bones are shaking from rage. The fight happens later on and pulls off exactly what he said he was going to do. He knocked him out in the 2nd round. Every Volk fan was depressed after that. Fast forward to UFC 300, Max Holloway beats Justin Gaethje and has the best KO of the year. He calls out Ilia Topuria right then and there for the belt. Ilia accepts the challenge and they fight in UFC 308. By the way, Max Holloway has never been knocked out ever, alright? Never before. So a lot of people thought that if Ilia were to beat Max in the fight, there is no way it will be by a knockout. Well, Ilia knocks him out. Ilia knocks him out and everyone's hearts was broken. The bad guy has won again. And since that fight, Ilia wanted to then immediately move up to the lightweight division and fight against Islam for the lightweight belt. Which brings us to our next topic. So now Ilia wants to move up and fight against Islam for the lightweight title. But because Islam has already defeated Volk twice, who was a featherweight, Islam says, brother, no, I want to fight a real lightweight contender. I think I want to fight Justin Gaethje. Focus on your division, brother. So Ilia says, bet. He then vacates the title and is no longer a featherweight and moves up to the lightweight division and says, fight me now, bro. Let's go, man. In which Islam says, no, brother, you need to fight some contenders first and then maybe you fight for belt. Now that Ilia is a lightweight, Islam still doesn't want to fight him. Why? But then Islam says that he wants to move up and fight for the welterweight title if JDM beats Belal Muhammad to become a double champ too. Hey, by the way, didn't you just say that you need to get some wins first to Ilia in order to fight for the belt? But you're over here doing the exact same thing as Ilia was doing, and you're not even following your own words and not fight any contenders in the welterweight division in order to earn a title fight against JDM? What is going on? I can't, man. I really cannot do this anymore with these mental gymnastics. But after all this back and forth banter between each other, we now reach the present and finally get the big announcement from Dana. After JDM wins the belt on UFC 315, this pretty much confirmed what was going to happen now. On May 13th, Dana finally announces the main event of UFC 317, and it's exactly what we all expected, but with a twist. Dana confirms that Islam is not going to fight Ilia anymore and will fight JDM to become a double champ. Except the UFC now made Islam vacate his title too. He is no longer a lightweight anymore, guys. And the main event will be Ilia versus Charles Oliveira. I mean, it's not a bad fight at all. Honestly, it's still a banger, but at the same time, I am so disappointed at Islam. He could have given us an amazing fight with Ilia. He could have even possibly win the fight, shut all the haters up, and that could have possibly been his most impressive win too. But no. Islam decided to not make that fight happen, doesn't reschedule him fighting against Armin, which is another fight that we all wanted to see, and walks away the division by defeating Renato Moicano, who wasn't even supposed to fight him in the first place. If you ask me, this is kind of a bad move on Islam. This fight is basically the next Khabib versus Tony Ferguson. The fight we all wanted to see, but will never ever happen. But it's now written in stone. It cannot be undone. The lightweight title is now up for grabs, and Islam is now a welterweight. Can I just say that wouldn't it be so funny if Islam ends up getting KO'd by him, and then you got Ilia becoming the champ and dominates the lightweight division? And you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I think JDM beats Islam Makhachev.
You need to leave!
I don't care if Islam is the best fighter in the world and JDM just won the title last Saturday, but I think it's gonna be a much more competitive fight than some people may think. But that's another topic for another video. When this fight comes around soon, I'll more than likely make a video and give my thoughts on that too. Okay, So let's recap what I just said. Islam was the champion since 2022, has very good wins. Ilya becomes the champion in 2024, knocks out Volk and Max. Ilya wants to move up and fight Islam. Islam is dodging him and avoiding to make that fight happen. Islam waits on if JDM or Belal wins their fight. JDM wins, and now Islam wants to fight JDM instead of Ilya. The UFC strips Islam from the lightweight belt, and finally Dana announces Ilya versus Charles Oliveira. Okay, man, this was a lot to package, all right? If this video felt messy to y'all, that's because this whole situation in general was a whole mess. I really wish that Islam had actually accepted the fight with Ilya, and had Islam won, then that's when he should have moved up to the welterweight division, but that never happened. I mean, who knows? Maybe Ilya dominates the lightweight division and then moves up to the welterweight division to fight Islam if he beats JDM too. Or Islam will just run away again and move up to the middleweight division instead. That's all I want to say about this whole debacle. Such a crazy time to be a UFC fan right now, for sure. But anyways, I'll see y'all later on the next one. Goodbye.